Good. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, and we are live in sunny Orlando, Florida, at the Dice Tower Con. We are joined here with Oscar from Devir Games. How you doing today?
Hi, nice to meet you, Oscar.
Thanks for joining us. So, Oscar, what have you got to show off for us this fine morning?
Yes, well, we have a bunch of games here, but let me start with one of the most popular ones in the convention, which is Sherlock Holmes. It's a two-player game, 30 minutes. Main mechanics are site collection and worker placement.
Okay.
So basically, one of the players is going to be Holmes, and the other one is going to be Mycroft, Sherlock's brother. And they're both trying to prove that the other one is wrong because they're both investigating the same case.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Nicole, I'm sorry, can you put the board cam on, please, so we can show off the board for the game?
So basically what you're doing is visiting several characters throughout the game. They're going to start up showing every day.
Okay, and then what I could do here is I could show them off in this for you here, so you could talk about them a little more specifically.
Yeah, for example, Irene allows you to steal cards from the other player. So she's like the mean one in the game. And basically you're trying to collect numbers, which are like evidence. And in this deck of cards you have 9 9s, 8 8s, 7 7s, 6 6s, and so on. So the interesting part about this is that, let's say this is the case. I have 9 here, and my opponent has another 9. Well, basically, I win the 9s because I have more than my opponent, but I would get 9 minus 1 card that he has, so it's 8 points for me.
Oh, okay. So you want to have a pure collection, and you don't want them to spoil your collection
yes,
there.
Right. So it's a very tight game. The more you play it, the more you know the characters, the more tight it's gonna get. You know.
Okay, and what did you say the gameplay time on this one was?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay.
And it's very accurate, and it's very easy to teach, very portable, as you can see.
Yes, very small box with that.
Right.
So I imagine, though, that as you play this a few times over and you start figuring out your friend's play strategy there, you're going to speed up the gameplay back and forth a lot.
Right. There are some interesting strategies, and the interesting part is that no game is going to be the same because some characters will come up at different moments in time.
Okay.
Right.
So they're always coming out differently. So it adds a lot of
and
variability.
Actually there's one character that will not come out on a given game, so that's a little bit of uncertainty there.
Okay, so you won't always see everybody each time too. Okay.
Right. That's correct.
Oh, fantastic.
So everything's a little bit different. So
Yeah. Look at the board.
Yeah, I like the back side of the board is actually printed and pretty on there.
Right.
That's nice.
So this is Holmes. Then we have Checkpoint Charlie. I'm not sure if you can see it here.
Just gonna move back.
Over here, probably, right? So you can close
Yeah,
up
I
the
think
back.
I could close up the back of the
Alrighty.
game box there. A little
Yeah.
glary, but
All right. So we're in the 60s. We're in the middle of the Cold War, and every player is a dog, part of an intelligence agency, and they're trying to capture the master spy. And they do that by figuring or guessing 5 of the main traits that the master spy has, which can be maybe he has a hat, maybe he has glasses or not, maybe he has a coat or a sweater. And at the beginning of the game, players will have only one piece of information. And, you know, by looking at what other players play and what they discard, you're going to start seeing patterns there. And then you have a token which you will use to accuse the cat. And that cat can only be accused by one person. So in the end, all players but one is going to be able to accuse one of the cats.
so you're a dog detective and you're looking for a cat.
The
spy.
master spy cat.
That's funny.
Right. Yes. So in the end, if you manage to guess all 5 traits, you get more points. If you capture, or if you guess only 4, you capture a henchman. And if you guess 3 or less, you capture a civilian by mistake, and you can even get negative points.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's like one round of gameplay then?
That's
for that
one round
there?
of the game. Then you do it again. All players take from a bag one of the traits. They keep it secret, and so on and so forth until one player reaches 10 points.
Okay, so that triggers the end condition there. And then
Yes.
this is how many players for this
3 to
one?
5 players.
And
it-
gameplay is
30 minutes.
Okay, so right
Yes.
around the same time
Right.
frame there.
Exactly. Then we have Dragons and Chieckens.
I have to be honest with you. We were looking at this while you were going to grab more stuff because just the title of it.
It caught my
intrigued us.
eye for sure.
It's funny. It's a funny game. So basically, what's going to happen is every player will have a deck of cards, and in the cards you can see different type of treasures, right?
Okay.
Painted on them. So basically what it's trying to do, I mean, this is the typical dungeon crawler where all players are adventurers going inside a dungeon, trying to collect the most treasure possible and trying to escape without being killed by the dragon, right?
Right.
But once the treasure cards, everyone plays one card at the same time. They reveal it at the same time, and then you have to quickly determine which is the icon that repeats the most in all the set here.
Okay.
Right? In this case, I think it would be
Pearl?
the pearl, right?
Yeah.
If you say pearl, then before everyone else, of course, you get all the treasures for you.
Oh, okay.
Now, if by any chance the icons repeat themselves, the first person who puts the hand on the chest will get all the treasures. Right?
What do you mean if the
Let's
icons
say
repeat
we
themselves?
have the same number of pearls as the same number of
Crowns there?
Crowns, for example. Then the person who puts his hand first on the chest takes all the loot.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So if there's a tie, you're saying, okay, there's a tie somewhere for the most
Exactly.
ones. This is mine.
And there are cards which can show a dragon. Sometimes it's difficult to see because it's like hidden in the background of the card. See, actually, if you can find one here. Then we have the chickens. Oh, here it is. So you see,
Oh, yeah, that's hidden there. He might
Yeah.
not show up too well because he's green, so he's a clear dragon, but it's
Yes,
up there.
Exactly. So it's difficult, and to see it in all this hectic, trying to find the treasures.
Right.
But then if that happens, the players have to go and get the shield, put their hand on the shield, and they're going to start stacking their hands on top of the shield. The last person puts the hand will lose all the treasures depicted on the card that the dragon is showing.
Oh, and I would like to point out that the shield has a chicken on it.
Yeah. So what? Now, if you happen to have a chicken, then you can give it to the dragon, throw it to the dragon, and then run away with all the treasures without losing them.
Okay, so this
Right?
is going to be a card in your hand. You can be, no, I'm the chicken, I'm
It's
running
like a
away.
distraction.
Yes,
You
exactly.
send the chicken out so the dragon eats the chicken and you
Right.
keep your treasure.
Exactly. Yes.
I imagine that game gets really hectic, though, when you have a decent amount of people
Very
all
loud.
slapping their hands on the
Right,
table and
exactly.
yelling at each other.
Yes.
So how many players is this one?
This is 2 to 5 players too.
Okay.
And it's up 30 minutes or yeah,
Nice.
30 minutes.
Very cool.
Then we have Dungeon Raiders. Probably, well, we don't have anything here to show, but let me open the box for you real quick so you can have a feeling about this.
Okay.
It's a card game. It had the same theme as Dragons and Chickens,
Okay.
right? The difference is that it's a little bit more strategic than this one, because every player will have power cards, right? That range from 1 to 5. So players are going to be visiting 5 dungeon levels throughout all game, and there are going to be some rooms. We're just going to be
Just to show these off, we've got
yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You can see they got a nice color gradient too, so you can see they get darker as you go deeper in the.
Yeah, they get a little more red, a little more dangerous as the power level goes up.
So what happens is players are going to be visiting 5 dungeon levels. Each dungeon level has 5 cards.
Okay.
So on each level and on each room, players will going to be playing secretly one of these power cards, right? And the player who plays the highest one wins the card. So for example, if I would go here, well, in this case, in the vault, you just get the treasure that's depicted on there.
So that looks like a pretty hefty treasure haul there from the vault, right?
Yeah.
So that one would change. Is that based
Oh.
on the level that you play?
No,
Like,
exactly.
If you,
You
play
can-
5, you get
Oh,
the big
okay.
You
potion
get the
in end.
potion, so you can cure yourself because we have characters here. Each one have different abilities. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, here they are. You can be the wizard, or the warrior, or the thief, right?
Wizard.
And they have different hit points.
Right, the wizard's a little weaker.
And some
warrior's
of them
a little
start
tougher.
with some of the artifacts like keys and crystal balls and torches, right? So the core mechanic is you play a card, and depending on the value of the card, if say for example you play here, you win the treasure if you play the highest card.
Right.
Now the problem is that there are some hidden rooms which will reveal themselves as you go through them.
Oh,
So that's the interesting part of the game, to manage how you use the power cards.
So
because
is-
you won't get them until the end of this level.
it starts as an empty hallway room there, and then when you flip it over, when you enter it there,
Right,
lava trap.
exactly. You have a trap, then you have to, I used my one, for example. I don't have any more, so that's the interesting part of that.
So it's divided by 2, so I'm assuming you lose half of your treasure there?
Yes.
Oof, that's a rough
Yeah, there are a
one.
lot of traps, and different monsters too. I'm sure if you have the blob here, and collectively they have to get to this number here, depending on the number of players.
So the blob here, if there's 3 players, you need to do 14 points of damage.
Correct.
4 players,
Otherwise,
18
the
points.
player who played the lowest card will lose one hit point.
So he's not particularly dangerous, but you
This
still
one-
want to damage him then.
Right. So that's Dungeon Raiders.
Oh, very cool. And so you said that there's 5 rows of...
Yes, 5 rows. So
5
you
rows.
rinse and repeat all 5 rooms.
Very cool.
Yes. Once you finish this, you get your power cards back again
Oh, so it's a one-time per
per level.
There
Right.
we go.
Exactly.
Okay, so that way everybody has one card to play on. Because I was trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, well maybe I save my one for the end, so that
Exactly.
I played on something nobody plays on, and then I
Yes.
automatically. But if everybody has to play on every level, then there's a little more
Yes.
strategery or metagaming, kind of figuring out who's doing what.
Absolutely.
Yeah. At the end of the game, at the end of the dungeon, it's gonna be a boss.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, mini boss.
Now let me put this one on. It doesn't have any
Look at
green
this
to
one.
it.
You have to kill him 2 times.
Oh, there's the golem there.
And
but
whoever
then
manages to escape with the most money wins.
the Hydra.
And the player with the most wounds would get killed and would not win, even though maybe he has a more pressure.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So it doesn't pay to be reckless, it sounds.
Right. Let me explain Rhine River for a second. I'm sure you can see it here.
Josh, can you put on the board cam, please? Thank you so much. So it'll go right under this camera over to your left. There we go.
All right. So Rhine River, it's a logistics game.
Mm-hmm.
If you have played games like Brass, this is gonna be up to your alley. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you're the head of a freight company, and you're trying to deliver goods or move throughout 14 different cities along the Rhine River in Europe. All right?
Mm-hmm.
You start in Basel, and you can go all the way down to London.
Oh, okay.
Right? You own 2 trucks, and that's all that you have. But there are public transport that you can use. For example, we have ships, planes, and trains, and each of them they have different speeds and different costs.
Okay.
So each turn, you can the game lasts for 7 turns or 8 depending on the number of players, and every turn has 6 sub phases. Very very easy, very intuitive. So in one phase you load containers, you pay to load the containers. Then you have to do the actual bookings for those transfers.
Okay.
And those transfers have different stops, so not all the transfer will go to all cities. So like logistics, you have to plan ahead of time and see, okay, I'm going to load this container here on this ship, he will unload here, then from here I'm going to take a train and take them to this city. So you're trying to fulfill contracts, and you have a time limit for that. The further along the river, the more income you're going to get, right?
Right.
But if you don't do it in the given time, you will lose money. Operational
Understandable.
costs, right?
Yeah.
And if you, at the end of your term, you leave cubes or containers on a given city, you will actually have to pay storage fee for them, like in real life, right? The interesting part is that your money is at your victory points too.
Okay.
So you have to keep very good administration of your money, which are your victory points.
Right, because a lot of games it ends up where money doesn't matter at the end, or
It's just a point system, but no, the
so
money
as
is
long
your
as you
victory.
as long as you got the points, you're very loose with your currency and everything just to try and get them. But
Right.
if it's doubling up, then everything is that really is operations management and logistics.
Right.
there.
Actually, in this
That's
game, you
very
can
good.
even declare bankruptcy if you have to take a mortgage on your trucks to get money because you
So then you can't use your
you
trucks
can
at
lose-
all. So
yeah.
then you're stuck with the boat, and you never get anything in one-day contracts.
Right. So yeah, this is a very strategical game.
A little more of a Euro game than the last
Right.
couple you showed
right,
us
yeah,
there.
of course. Then we have Fan Hunter, which is one of the most recent ones. And let me put this here. This has a very quirky artwork. It's based on a very popular comic in Spain.
Okay.
That's where Devir has its headquarters over there, Spain. And basically, what happened in this Fan Hunters universe is that there's a guy called Alejo Crow that proclaimed himself the Pope, and he banned every type of entertainment. Movies, comic books, cosplay, video games, board games, whatever, you name it.
Then what do we do for fun?
Well, when there's an oppression, there's always a resistance. So
Exactly.
basically, you have the good guys against the bad guys, and so you could say it's like the war of the nerds. in some
Okay.
sense. Because the guy, the miniatures are gonna be fighting with replicas of like the Satori Hanzo, the sword from Kill Bill.
So like the pop culture weapons
Right,
and
exactly.
stuff like that.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yes. And okay, basically you have your troops, and they have different stats: movement stats, defense, range attack, close combat attack, and even mental attack sometimes. So you're gonna be moving your units around the different maps, throwing dice,
Right.
and the opponent will have the chance to roll the defense dice, and the more, you have to check who has the more successive, and then you start killing units around the board, or you complete an objective, because the game is scenario based.
Okay.
So you have 8 scenarios in the box, and the more it advances, the more it progresses, the more complex it gets, right?
And so this is a purely head-to-head game?
Yeah, this is a 2-player game for
Okay.
now. Yes, the idea is that this game started in Barcelona, but Devir is looking for people from the gaming community to come up with ideas to start a rebellion on each of the cities, because the dictatorship, the oppression, it's affecting all the world. So maybe in the future we'll see expansions based on different cities of the world.
That'd be really cool.
Okay,
Yes.
So then you get a little home flavor.
Right, and exactly.
That's cool.
Yes. Alrighty. Let's go with Barcelona. Yeah, Barcelona's a 2 to 4 player
Okay.
game.
I think we can move this back here.
Here, right? It takes maybe 2 hours.
Okay, so this is a
Depending-
much heavier game.
Yeah, it's a much heavier, kind of like in the same vein as Rhine River
Okay.
Trade. This happens in the Barcelona of the 19th century, after they demolished the medieval walls.
Okay.
All right. So what you're a member of a noble family, and it's a time where there's a lot of social conflict between the working classes and the rich people. So what you're trying to do is trying to build buildings throughout the 3 districts of the city of Barcelona, and depending on the type of buildings that you build, because you have a high class, middle class, working class, and even poor class. The higher the building, the higher the class of the building, the more victory points you get, but also the more striking workers you get. And the striking workers, there's a phase which is called rebellion, which all of them go inside a bag, and then you start taking them randomly from the bag, depending on the immigration rate, which is going to show up here. And you count the number of meeples that go out from the bag, and then you remove prestige points from the players based on that number. And losing prestige is a bad thing, because the more prestige you have, the better the cards you're going to get each round, because it's a hand management game also.
Gotcha.
You're going to be playing cards from your hand, 4 cards until you run out of them, right? And
So you draw from different decks then, depending
Yes,
on
3
your
decks,
prestige. Okay,
right.
so
Right.
the higher you get, more powerful or more valuable.
right,
Okay.
so you have to manage. Okay, do I want to build better buildings so I get better cards,
But
and
if I lose a point and have to pull from the other deck instead, is that going to help me long term?
right? And when you build high class buildings, you also get some chit tokens, which allow you to buy these tiles that are here, that have ends and victory points at the end of the game.
Okay.
Right.
Nice.
Now, the interesting part also is that at the end of each phase, you will have to do a scoring of all districts, because there's a little bit of area majority there, and the people who have the more buildings will get popularity cards, which are very good too.
That's at the end of each phase you're doing
Right,
that one there.
yes.
So it's a progressive thing that's going
Yeah.
on throughout the game.
There are 5 phases, and it divides into 3 eras. All right. So that's Barcelona.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I like the history flair in that one as well there.
Yes.
The artwork is very neat.
It's
too.
made.
Very, like,
It was designed by the same guys who did the War of the Ring, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, very cool.
like it makes me think Napoleonic. and
Oh,
like
yeah.
that,
You definitely get a revolutionary vibe from that picture on the back there.
Right.
Very cool.
Did we go over everything, Oscar?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. 1, 2, 3.
I think we hit everything.
Well, I didn't bring the upcoming games, but I can talk a little bit about them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna be releasing.
Sorry, 1 second. Josh, can you put the camera back on us, please? Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, we have 3 games to be released this year.
Still, that's a busy year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. The first one is gonna be Fast Food Fear, which is
Okay.
like a cooperative game in which you have an hourglass, so it's a real-time thing.
Okay.
You're gonna be fulfilling food orders.
Oh, like a line
Right.
cook.
Right, exactly. But then you have different monsters with different tastes, and you have to quickly, try to fulfill the order or give card to the other players so they can fulfill it. They can even turn around the hourglass and try to beat the game before the hourglass ends.
Oh, very cool. So it's a
like
real
we're
time.
trading cards or whatever. So I need
Yeah.
cheese to make a cheeseburger.
Exactly.
Matt,
Cheese,
I need
pizza,
give me cheese.
pasta, right.
So I'd imagine that gets a little hectic, just like
Right.
a real kid.
And
Everyone's
the
shouting at
yes,
people.
the ingredients they're more. they're rare ones and they're common ones. So, yeah, it's kind of difficult sometimes to fulfill an order.
Okay.
Understandable.
Then we have a Castellers, which is a game based on a very tradition in Barcelona. People building human towers. I'm not sure if you have.
Oh,
seen that.
I have seen that on the
Yes.
internet once or twice.
Right. So basically, it's a card game. You're gonna be building human towers based using cards, and you can also mess a little bit with your opponents. What they're doing, maybe throwing a lock, so they fall down.
Tumble into each
Yeah,
other.
they tumble.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the word. They tumble. Right. That's Castellers. It's called. It's gonna be released after Fast Food Fear. I think it is in September.
Okay, now what kind of game is that? That's a card playing game?
Yeah,
or
card playing game.
Okay,
Entirely. It's a very small box.
gotcha.
And then we have another one which is called Michael Strogoff, which is a game based on Jules Verne novel.
Oh,
Yes, it's an adventure game, but it's like a risk management game, if you say,
okay.
in which you're gonna be playing cards and trying to move your meeple throughout a map, trying to reach the Siberia capital before a trader goes there. Right?
Gotcha. So it's like
Yeah.
an adventure risk management.
It's an
game
adventure
there.
risk management game, and it's gonna be released in October.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on there? Or?
Not really. Since I didn't have enough time, I forgot to bring those games with me. I'm sorry.
That
Oh,
was
no,
a-
you're
That
good.
was a lot of stuff. That
Yeah, we
saw,
went
so-
over a lot of stuff. Right?
Yes.
That's exciting. Got a lot of stuff going on. But thank you so much for joining us,
problem.
Oscar.
Thank you very much for inviting
Really
me.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Again, everyone,
Thank
that's
you.
Oscar from Devir Games. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. We're going to have some more publishers and games coming on later this evening for you guys to check out. Twist Gaming is signing off for now. Bye, everyone.
Bye.